शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। यत्परं ब्रह्म सर्वात्मा विश्वस्यायतनं महत् सूक्ष्मात् सूक्ष्मतरं नित्यं तत्त्वमेव त्वमेव तत् जाग्रत् स्वप्न सुषुप्त्यादि प्रपञ्चं यत् प्रकाशते तद्ब्रह्माहमिति ज्ञात्वा सर्वबन्धैः प्रमुच्यते। त्रिषु धामसु यद्भोग्यं भोक्ता भोगश्च यद्भवेत् तेभ्यो विलक्षणः साक्षी चिन्मात्रोऽहं सदाशिवः मय्येव सकलं जातं मयि सर्वं प्रतिष्ठितं मयि सर्वं लयं याति तद्ब्रह्माद्वयमस्म्यहम् अणोरणीयानहमेव तद्वन्महानहं विश्वमहं विचित्रम् पुरातनोऽहं पुरुषोऽहमीशो हिरण्मयोऽहं शिवरूपमस्मि अपाणिपादोऽहमचिन्त्यशक्तिः पश्याम्यचक्षुः सशृणोम्यकर्णः अहं विजानामि विविक्तरूपो न चास्ति वेत्ता मम चित्सदाहम् वेदैरनेकैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृद्वेदविदेव चाहम् न पुण्यपापे मम नास्ति नाशो न जन्म देहेन्द्रियबुद्धिरस्ति न भूमिरापो न च वह्निरस्ति न चानिलो मेऽस्ति न चाम्बरं च एवं विदित्वा परमात्मरूपं गुहाशयं निष्कलमद्वितीयम् समस्तसाक्षिं सदसद्विहीनं प्रयाति शुद्धं परमात्मरूपम् यः शतरुद्रीयमधीते सोऽग्निपूतो भवति सुरापानात् पूतो भवति ब्रह्महत्यात् पूतो भवति कृत्यात् पूतो भवति तस्मादविमुक्तमाश्रितो भवति अत्याश्रमी सर्वदा सकृद्वा जपेत् अनेन ज्ञानमाप्नोति संसारार्णवनाशनम् तस्मादेवं विदित्वैनं कैवल्यं फलमश्नुते कैवल्यं फलमश्नुत इति।
From me alone all has risen, in me alone all exists, in me all dissolves. That non-dual Brahman am I. This we said that comes from the deep experience or anubhava of the self-realized person. Verse mantra number 19 is a culmination of the thought flow in 16, 17 and 18, which talked about the unity of Brahman and the individual, unity of the Supreme Self and the individual self. The relation is established first through the mouth of the Guru by the statement that you are the self, Tat Tvamasi. So 16th mantra said Tat Tvameva Tvameva Tat. And 17 and 18 talked about how it is to be practiced. So upon getting the Upadesha or the advice from the Guru, the individual practices which is known as Abhyasa. So he is telling himself, reassuring himself by contemplation that I am that self. Then upon realization comes the Anubhava Vakya, or the statement of experience. Though we use the word experience, it is beyond all experiences. Experience is, we can say, the closest term by which we can understand that state. Because very clearly in the previous mantra he says, all the three, that is Bhokta, Bhogascha and the Bhogyam, whatever, all the three are merged into that. So there is no subject-object relationship in that type of experience. So it is just the experience of the self, that's all it is. From that standpoint, this mantra comes, that in that Supreme Brahman, from that only everything arises, from that everything, on that everything exists, and into that everything dissolves, just as the waves arise from the ocean, exist on the ocean, and merge back into the ocean. There is no comparison of the wave and ocean. Wave is a small limited entity, a small disturbance on the surface of the ocean. In this example, ocean is the infinite entity from which the finite waves comes and goes back. But what is interesting is, while it takes the form of the wave, it is still ocean. It is never separate from the ocean. It is a false notion that it assumes itself to be a wave, but it is actually the ocean only. Now this is, as I said, talked about at the highest level of realization, and that is how it has to be understood. As I said, from this mantra onwards, 19 onwards till the end of this chapter, it is talking more about the self in terms of not just declaration through the pointers, but as such a revelation. So we have to just feel really what the mantra says, along with what we understand in terms of our intellectual understanding. But all that needs to be said in terms of sadhana has been covered in this Kaivalya Upanishad before. So this has to be just, the rhythm of it has to be felt more than the intellectual understanding. But if at all we need to tone it down to our level, that we can say that as we get deeper into our personality and as our vision expands, to that extent the plurality merges into unity, or the plurality slowly loosens, or that much of plurality is not there, it sinks. So as we identify with our deeper personalities, so that is possible only through the knowledge. To the level of the emotions we may have up to the because of experience. When I say this, because it is a natural experience in all creatures and it is there in humans also. When you get into the stage of a family life, so when you talk about me and my family, which is where Vedanta says the love blossoms, but for most people the love ends there also. It becomes the boundary also. So the moment you are able to identify with the family, you know that you are much bigger than what you believe yourself to be. That you believe yourself to be this body, mind and intellect. No, in actual experience it is little more than that. That is what our day-to-day experience is, that you identify with the family, you work for the family, you think about the family, you sacrifice for the family. That means you are the family. You consider yourself something bigger than your immediate body, mind and intellect. That is our natural experience. Majority of the people of the world get stuck at this level. Only with knowledge can we go deeper into our personalities and identify with deeper realms. When you identify with a greater circle, when you identify with the nation, when you identify with a greater ideal, all the persons and all the beings within that you will be able to feel. So in that, what happens is, what is relevant to that verse is, all the differentiations and demarcations within that circle will vanish. So in one way that the unity is established. Here the perception is not that what you see now, that will disappear from the physical perception. It is a perception at the inner wisdom level. Meaning what you see outwardly is not what is going to be affecting your experience. Your experience is based on what you perceive internally. So you as though have a X-ray vision. you are penetrating into them and seeing what is the common factor that is binding them. If you extend it to the fullest possible, that is where this state is, where he is the self. And in that absolute state of the self, nothing else he experiences, only the self. And all the other so-called disturbances that we perceive, he says it is all just existing in me. It is all coming from me and going back into me. I am that supreme self. So we have to understand the transition between the finitude into the infinitude. That is where this statement comes from. So as I said, there is not, major point of contemplation, but it's a major point of, contemplation in the sense of bringing that feeling into us. That is what this mantra says. From me alone all has risen. In me alone all exists. In me all dissolves. That non-dual Brahman am I. Mantra 20, we'll chant twice.
अनोरणीयानहमेव तद्वन्महानहं विश्वमहं विचित्रम् पुरातनोऽहं पुरुषोऽहमीशो हिरण्मयोऽहं शिवरूपमस्मि अनोरणीयानहमेव तद्वन्महानहं विश्वमहं विचित्रम् पुरातनोऽहं पुरुषोऽहमीशो हिरण्मयोऽहं शिवरूपमस्मि.
I am subtler than the subtle, even so I am great. I am the manifold universe. I am ancient. I am Purusha, supreme being. Lord, golden. I am auspiciousness. The pointers from now on continue, and it continues for a couple of more mantras. Very beautiful sequence of pointers come here. Pointers are those which give us direction towards contemplation about the reality, because we know that the absolute reality cannot be pinpointed. It cannot be grasped within our intellect. It is beyond our all experiences, beyond our perception, emotions and intellection. But then for earnest seekers, Vedanta gives very many pointers. These pointers are taking us with the help of terrestrial ideas, but slowly you will have to leave that idea and get into the direction where it is pointing to probably go into that realm. And the pointers are given in such enormous numbers and in such enormous dimensions that probably when you contemplate along the pointers, you will not miss it. It will take you as though to that way. In geometry, it is very clear that you take a line segment of AB 5 centimeters and you want to mark a point C, which is, let's say, 4 centimeters from A and 3 from B. You can draw an arc, but in this example you can pinpoint it. And once you are caught with C, there is no requirement of AB, but AB is required to point C. Like that it is. But again, take this example little further, that there are various pointers here and there given where you try to fix it, but ultimately it narrows it down and makes you single pointedly focus towards that self only. So these are the use of the pointers here. The famous Chandrashaka Nyaya says this, that in order to point a moon on a clear sky during a daytime, sometimes you see a small crescent moon on the daytime and there is absolutely nothing in the sky like cloud or star or anything near it, and the sun is very bright, that you can point it out to others easily. You have seen it, but you want to point it out to others, it is not possible. If you say there, he will not be able to see. Therefore, from an angle, you have to point to a branch a branch of a tree which is coming out, and at the edge of the branch there is a leaf, 2 leaves, and from an angle you look through the 2 leaves, probably you will spot that. You have to give an angle. This is called as a pointer. From one angle if you see, that also afterwards he has to see it. So much help the guide can give. But then afterwards it is up to the seer to perceive it. Exactly like that. In this example, the moon is the infinite self. It is beyond it all there. And all the branch, garden and the leaves, all this is terrestrial. But without the terrestrial pointers, you will not be able to spot the moon. But we have to be careful not to get involved in the tree and the branch and leaf itself. And that could be also very beautiful, but that is not the purpose. The purpose of that is to point out to the moon. And the third thing is, the Guru can only take you up to that point. He cannot put that vision into you. That vision automatically is coming or it is evolving. It is up to you to see and wait in that direction and perceive with your sight, and suddenly the moon appears. Like that is the role of these pointers, abundant in Upanishads and in Gita also. First he says, Anoraniyan. I am subtler than the subtle. Anu also means atom. Atom is the subtlest thing. And for subtle, the term Anu is used. Anu is the smallest known particle in that sense. Okay, you can say that you can even break atom into pieces now. Whatever be the piece that you take, electron, whatever it is. I am subtler than the subtle. Whatever you break inside and you go, I am there in it already. So that means I am the minuter than the minutest. So suppose this small, big, all these are quantification, right? One form of quantification. Assume that he is trying to quantify Brahman. So what is Brahman? It is so subtle, so subtle. How subtle? You think of atom, even atom we can't think of. Maybe we can try with a microscope and see with a trained person. It's not, even in a microscope we can't see. If somebody says see it, or it is not to be seen directly like that. A trained person has to give us even training as to how to do it. So whatever you can conceive as atom or smallest particle, it is even minuter than that, it is even smaller than that. So like that is a idea given. Then we try to say, probably we have got it fixed in our intellect. So immediately he says, Mahanaham, I am greater than the greatest. So something that is terrestrial here, if you think whatever is the greatest, whatever great we can think about is space. Space, nothing greater than space. So we get fixated with the idea of space. No, it is beyond space also. It is greater than the greatest. But it is the same thing which is minuter than the minutest. Then it is not understandable. That which is the smallest of the smallest, how it can be the greatest of the greatest also. But that is the pointer that is given. So therefore, we have to very clearly understand that these pointers are not exact definitions, but they give a very clear indication or a picture where your intellect has to penetrate and go. And still your intellect cannot capture it, but it sets you in that direction. So what it means, greater than the greatest is also the self, minuter than the minutest, subtler than the subtlest is also the self. That means it is one entity which is all pervading. That is the message that we derive here. So you go deep within one cell or one unit or one molecule or atom or something, you hit something, whatever it is. That is also the same thing where you go with all your scientific inventions or with all your yogic dimensions within your mind, whatever vast areas that you cover and travel beyond also, what is there beyond everything is also the same thing. In Ishavasya, when we studied this in a different way. We said Tad Dure Tad Dvantike. That is the farthest, that is the nearest. This is again one way of saying that which is the farthest. Kena Upanishad also gave the same idea. Lo, see that lightning, he says. And then the eyelid, then the mind. That which is the closest of our perception is the eyelid. Farthest of our perception is the lightning. That which is the lightning is the same thing as the eyelid. That which is the closest is that which is the farthest. So that means it is that which is all pervading, that which is there everywhere. So it cannot be put into any dimension. But if you want to put it in dimension, yes, say it as the greatest of the greatest, smallest of the smallest. Both are right. Anoraniyan aham eva tadvat mahanaham Vishwamaham Vichitram. We will come back to Vishwamaham Vichitram later. Then he says Puratana. Puratana means ancient. Ancient means that which is the oldest in terms of time. Whatever you can conceive of, before that it was existing. So before time it is. In terms of experience, we say time is born at the instance of the second experience. But Brahman, without which no experience is possible, must have been present at the time of first experience also. So it is Puratanaha. And this also can be taken as Sanatana, that is all existing at all points of time. That means at any point of time, imagine a person realizes the self and understands this is what it is. The realization is, my God, this is what it is. It was already there. So this is the feeling of each and every person from time immemorial in the Guru Parampara, right from the day one, whoever is, this is what it is. That means what? It has been always there. So in that sense, it is always there means time has no precedence before it. It has precedence before time. So it is Puratana, it is ancient. Purusha. Purusha is spirit, supreme being. Spirit is that which enlivens the matter. Spirit is that which is the cause by which the matter functions. Spirit is the power which animates the matter, which enlivens the matter, which is making sure the law of cause and effect in this sense is functioning. So, in these three pointers, we also get a thought flow in one angle that when we say it is minuter than the minutest or subtler than the subtlest and bigger than the biggest, it is beyond space. Puratanaha, it is beyond time, and Purushaha, we can say it's beyond causation. So time, space and causation are the three entities which govern this universe, which are the threefold what you say, a tripod on which the universe stands. That which is beyond this tripod is the Supreme Self. And then he says Isha. Isha means the Lord, ruler, commander, governor. The laws in this universe seem to function in obedience with under a command of a supreme being. We really do not know whether such a being exists or not from our experience, that is clear. But what is understandable from an intelligent conclusion is, wherever laws are functioning impeccably, wherever laws are functioning in a 100% error-free way, there must be a supreme controller or governor. This is a fair conclusion. When we have man-made laws also, which are used to govern countries or cities. We have laws in India. We also have laws in Singapore. But anybody who goes to Singapore will say that it is well controlled and well maintained there. Laws may be as powerful or sometimes more powerful in India also. But we don't see that the laws are maintained. Laws are not functioning. So laws are not some entity which will function by themselves. So why is Singapore very powerful? They say because the ruler or the government, whoever is in Singapore, he is making sure that the laws are functioning smoothly. The implementation of the laws is perfect. In India, laws are there, but the implementing authority is not that perfect. So therefore people take pride in breaking the laws. It is very clear here. So therefore, if you reverse this gaze and see, wherever the laws are functioning perfectly, it cannot happen by itself. It has to be under the control of somebody. It has to be by somebody. Again we say, the ruler of Prakriti, in that sense also if you take the Lord, Prakriti by itself is kept under control. The five elements are kept under control. It is not, one is not subduing the other or one is not overpowering the other. Everything is maintained in a balance. So if everything is maintained in a balance, there is a conscious entity which is maintaining this balance. So you see that each and everything, if we talk about man-made laws which are functioning perfectly, but if you go into the law of causation, which is the mother of all laws, it functions with 100% accuracy. No error at all. in the the middle of Vedas, the center of Vedas is the portion called Rudram. It is very relevant in this Upanishad also, because in the chapter 2 he says yes Shatarudriyam Adite Sogni Puto Bhavati. He is asking us to chant and do Adhyayana of Rudra. The form of Shiva is being worshipped in this Upanishad as Brahman. Brahman is talked about as a formless reality. Also it is talked about with form, and the form used is Nilakanta, Shiva. And therefore we see Shiva word also repeated here. Of course it represents the absolute truth. And then when it comes to practical technique, he is going to talk about Shatarudriya, the 100 names of Shiva. This Rudram is a very powerful mantra in the Vedas, eulogizing Lord Shiva. It comes in the middle of the Yajur Vedas, and it is in the center of the Vedas. And even in Rudra, if you take the center word comes to be Shiva, they say. I don't know what calculation, but it is like the jewel placed in the middle of the Vedas. The Rudram begins something like this. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Namaste Rudra Manyam Utauta Ishave Namaha. Namaste Atstu Danvane Bahubhya Mutate Namaha. So he says salutations to Lord Rudra. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Then he says salutations to the unerring arrows of Lord Shiva. Utota Ishave Namaha. He is keeping on releasing the arrows, and these are unerring arrows hitting the target all the time. Salutations to the arrows. Namaste Astu Danvane Bahubhya Mutate Namaha. Salutations to that forearm and that arm which carries the bow from which these arrows are going untiringly. So first he says Namaste to Lord Shiva. Then he says Namaste to the arrows which are incessantly flowing from the Shiva's bow. And then he says Namaste to that strong arm which holds this bow and releases the arrow. Very interesting. And it is literally that we need to worship Shiva like this. But none other than Swami Ramtirtha again give a beautiful explanation for this. Shiva represents the reality here. So the salutations to the Supreme Brahman, Supreme Lord, Supreme God. What is these arrows? These arrows are the arrows of the cause and effect. For every cause that there is an effect, and for every effect there is a cause. This is functioning very perfectly in the world. Every law that is functioning in the world which is based on certain cause and effect, every law that we can understand from mathematical, biological or economics or psychological, whatever point of view, various laws are functioning at various levels. All the laws are set in pattern by the functioning of this cause and effect. So let us say law of gravitation is there, and it functions meticulously that an object will be attracted to earth at a particular acceleration. It is a law. Now who fixed that law? And it never fails. It is never that for 1 month it is going to change or something like that. From time immemorial it is maintained like that. Who maintains this law? So like that, each and every cause that you put has each and every effect. Particular cause has a particular effect. Like that, it doesn't fail with reference to any of the organisms, with reference to any of the beings, at any geographical place, at any point of time. So these are the unerring arrows that hit the target all the time. Swami Vivekananda says, you do some karma here and you try to escape to Himalayas, the karma will chase you there in the form of a blade of grass, and that will hit you there, he says. It will not leave you. So, but who is making this function? That is the unerring arrows. You can maybe try to fool the judge who is sitting in the High Court or Supreme Court, but that somebody who is sitting above there, he is not fooled because of this unerring arrows that are functioning. These arrows do not function for a period of time. That's why he says that tireless arms that release the arrows, salutations to you. So it is eternal. These are eternal. So the term Isha here represents that ruler or governor. Who is the governor? He says, I am the governor. I am the governor. The Supreme Lord is the governor here. Hiranmaya. Hiranmaya is golden. Refers to knowledge, refers to that resplendent entity, refers to that supreme consciousness. That which illuminates everything. In this Upanishad, again and again it is emphasized, that which illuminates the waking, dream, deep sleep. That's what it is. All our experiences are illumined in the light of consciousness. Therefore, it is Hiranmaya. It is always resplendent. That is why even in dream, you are able to see, literally see. When you close your eyes, how you can see? So the light comes from somewhere else. That somewhere else is this golden entity. It is Hiranmaya. Then he says, Shiva Rupam. Auspicious. Shiva Rupam, the term itself has to be, as I said, silently you have to contemplate upon it. That's all. Even if you picturize Lord Shiva, it is he who is meditating in the glaciers of Himalayas. That's all it is. Shiva means most auspicious, most tranquil, absolute state of bliss. A state where there is absolutely no disturbance at all. That is Shiva Rupam. It's worth achieving. That's what Swamiji says whenever he uses this term Shiva. So, you look at it from the point of view of an individual, whatever he is seeking, I mean, we seek a million things, but generally, if you say that you seek power, you seek knowledge, and you seek joy or bliss, but all of these we seek not finite, but we want infinite. We seek infinite power, we seek infinite knowledge, we seek infinite joy. So these three terms can be also taken as an indicative of this, that Isha is talking about, or is the understanding of the infinite power. Hiranmaya is talking about that infinite knowledge. Not exact meaning I am taking, I am just saying these are relatable concepts. And the absolute state of tranquility is the infinite bliss, which is our own nature. And then he has said in the first line that Vishwamaham Vichitram. Vishwamaham Vichitram. Vichitram means it is a term which is used in wonderment. Vichitram. Wonderful. Ashcharya is also a word used. Ashcharya means that which is beyond our intellect. Vichitra means that's what it is. It is beyond our intellect. This universe is beyond our conception. It's our intellect. And he says, I am this Vishwam. It's interesting. He has given all the pointers which are transcendental. But he is also given this, that I am this universe also. What you experience as universe here is also me only. Vishwamaham Vichitram. That, see, in the previous mantra he says, Tad Brahmad Vayam Asmeham. Advayam. Advayam means non-dual. Non-dual means there is nothing apart from me. Only I am there. It is without any second. In this mantra he says the same thing is Vichitram Vishwam. So the same non-dual entity is what is manifest as this pluralistic phenomenon. When we say pluralistic, it is not one or two or millions or trillions. It is again infinitive. You take any aspect in this universe, it is actually infinite. In the, what is this, when we use Photoshop or Corel Draw while designing something, we have that color, pixels. You can use it in Paint also, which is a normal software everybody will have with MS Microsoft Office, it will come. So this paint has these three combinations of red, green and blue, which are the basic colors. Red, yellow and green is what, red, yellow and blue is the basic colors that we have studied in physics. But in the computer software, they have made RGB as the standardized thing, and now also not RGB, it has changed to CYMK. Cyan, yellow, magenta, black. CYMK is what is being used, but originally RGB was used. Even now RGB is there, but CYMK is more advanced. From 0 to 255, you can enter any number in that 4 columns. Again, cyan. Cyan is something like red. Yellow is yellow. Magenta is something like, which color it is? Purple, blue, that in that sort of shade. And then black. So, these 4 combinations You enter 0 to 255 in any of these four, and all of these four. How many such combinations you have then? It is innumerable, right? It will go into factorials. Literally it is infinite. It is infinite combination. But literally you can produce each and every color by putting these numbers. Whatever color you want, you can put it. There are different shades. In a small box like this, actually, so much is there. And you can point out also with your mouse pointer, you can go and point out this type of a color I want also. Like that it is. Now, this is within a small box that we see in a computer. Imagine how many colors are there in this world, naturally created, and all these are our combinations. These are all a drop from what we can see or what we can conceive in the natural thing. Similarly, you think in terms of sound. How many sounds, whatever be the number of animals and other organisms have, that much number of sounds is there. And they say sound is there, not audible to human ears. We have a frequency, right, between 20 hertz and 20,000 hertz. Bats are able to hear something that we are not able to hear. Insects may be hearing something which we are not able to hear. Even when it is flowering, there is a sound, they say, but we cannot hear it. So sound is how much, form is how much, color is how much, smell is how much. It is all, everything goes into infinite actually. This is actually Vichitram. This puppet show, this grand show that is happening here is Vichitram. Vichitram means it is ununderstandable, it is inconceivable. That Vishwam, he says, I am. It is not that he says, I have created this Vishwam. I am this Vishwam, I am this universe. In the great Vishnu Sahasranama, which talks about the 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu, very famous. But what is covered in the entire 1,008 names is covered in the first two names. The first starts with Vishwam Vishnu. That's all. Vishwam Vishnur Vashatkaro Bhutabhavi Bhakarabhut. It comes like that. 108 shlokas covering 1,008 names. But the first two names are Vishwam Vishnu. That's all. Vishnu unmanifest reality, Vishwam manifest reality. In this everything is covered. So Vishwam is nothing but the manifest reality. It is Vichitram because we cannot understand this. As I said, that is why the more we are able to delve into the perception of the nature itself, world itself, we will be able to absorb divinity. It is there for us to experience as it is. That is why subtler a person goes, greater is his spiritual experience. He is able to visualize and experience divinity in small things. Like Wordsworth saw divinity in daffodils. Like that it is. You can see divinity splashed everywhere. And all this is actually not possible for us to conceive how it is made, how it functions. Even a small thing like a world in the universe, when you compare our planet Earth, in the universe it is infinitesimal. It is not even a speck of a dust. But if you are able to even study these aspects of the world, we get into rapturous ecstasy. So any knowledge, therefore, if you approach it with this liberal mind, it will have to lead you to that same divinity only. You approach geography, you approach mathematics, you approach science, you go into atomic physics, whatever it is, you go deeper and deeper and deeper, you have to stand aghast as the great thing that is going to get revealed to you. This is Vichitram. In 29th verse of chapter 2, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Ascharyavat pashyati kaschidenam, Ascharyavat vadati tataiva chanyaha, Ascharyavat chainamanya shrunoti, Shrutvapyevam vedana chaiva kaschit. Some people talk about this as Ascharya, wonder. Some people see it as Ascharya. Some people listen to it as Ascharya, but nobody can understand this Ascharya. Nobody can really fathom or conceptualize this Ascharya. Ascharya means wonder. Wonder means that which is beyond our intellect. Magic. That is a magic. So, if for a person who is not scientific, who has no base of scientific knowledge, even a rocket going upwards could be Ascharya. Or for a child, it's Ascharya. A puppet show is also a wonder for a child which cannot understand that there is a small thread by which these dolls are dancing. It's Ashcharya, it is magic, because it is beyond the intellect of the child. But once you know the thing, what is happening behind, you may still enjoy, but it is not Ashcharya. But this can never be known. This invisible hand which operates this, however it operates, that can never be known. Therefore, he says it always remains as a Ashcharya. Ashcharya means you have to stand aghast in wonder. So, it is the aim of the study of the Upanishad, the aim of the study of even spirituality, is to gain this experience of Ashcharya. It is not that I'll go now and try to get that wonderment feeling. I'll go to Himalayas and say, very beautiful. It will not come like that. When you are filled up with the divine thought inside, with the slightest of expression outside, it automatically comes out. That's what is Ashcharya. The base for that is, he says, Vishwamaham Vichitram. If you get into the feeling of Ashcharya by seeing the universe, understand that it is me only. I am this manifestation as the universe. I am subtler than the subtle. Even so, I am great. I am the manifold universe. I am ancient. I am Purusha, supreme being, Lord, golden. I am auspiciousness. Yes, Rupa.
Yet in our sadhana, we are asked to negate this universe, to look for the truth.
Right. So, what is what has to be understood in the context of assertion and negation is, assertion and negation is given as a sadhana. As for us now, the world is real, right? The world is real, and therefore each and every aspect of the world, we give a real value to it, and therefore, obviously, per se, inherent in it, there is no reality. So when the reality in it changes, we are affected by it, right? So therefore, if we are in search of Brahman, at the sadhana of the discrimination of negation of the unreal and assertion of the real, we are asked to, since we cannot assert what is real, since we don't know what it is, whatever you see, whatever you perceive in the world, the value that you are given to it, in that form, you have to negate it. That this is not the reality, this is not the reality. Now here is a stage where the person has the perception of the reality as it is. Therefore, from that angle, whatever he sees is only reality. In other words, what you and I may see as a leaf or a book or a television or a camera or a mobile, in what way we perceive is not the same way in which he perceives. So, if we want to tone this down into sadhana, when you see a perception, instead of getting involved in what that reality is, what it speaks to us by itself in our normal eyes, if we are able to switch on to what is it that is making it or what is it that is manifesting it, your perception goes beyond it. In that sense, actually, you are negating only. So, you can use the varied expressions of the world to go into that reality. See, just as...
So, basically, what I understand is to go beyond the Nama Rupa to the reality.
To the reality. So, ultimately, when you see, we need even the perception of Lord Venkateshwara in Tirupati to get inspired. Okay, we are not in a stage, let us say, where you can close your eyes and the formless reality you are able to contemplate. But invariably, when you get totally into that darshan, in that feeling also, your eyes automatically close. So that means what? In the depth of that experience, you go beyond that perception also. So, if you are able to view the universe, this is one way by which we also will not fall into the trap of getting into the dry sadhana of Vedanta. When I say that Vedanta is not dry, but it is a subject which is very subtle, which can be attuned only to a few people, and always when you talk about Brahman, this and that, and which is formless, it seems to be something which cannot be captured by the intellect. So when people even talk about the concept of Maya, etc., they have to be very careful. When you say Maya, negate everything, it is all false and it is all a superimposition, it is all mithya, illusion. This type of a thing may be right, but it doesn't probably help us in our sadhana. Maybe the vision of a jnani is that which is different. But in the same tone, without compromising on the same content, if you look at it as Leela, it is the same thing. Leela is his play. So play also has no explanation. Maya has no explanation. Suppose if your friend comes and you are sitting, he hits you on the head like this from behind. It's fun. It's just fun. And you can't ask him, why you hit me? Because why means there's a reason, there's an intent, motive. There's no intent, reason, motive. It's just like that he did it. Like that, if you are able to see the entire this thing as a leela, it will help us in sadhana. One is from this point of view, that each and everything is his play. So the moment you are able to see the puppet, constantly you are also reminded of the director behind the puppet. Second aspect is, each and every aspect of experience that we go through also, it is his leela. Like that you take it, it is his play, it is vichitram, it is wonderful. Even a great worst time that I am going through, whoa, what a wonderful thing. Wonderful thing means I am not able to understand this. Best of times, why he has given me so much, why he has placed me in such a pedestal, I don't know that. It is also vichitram. So if you are able to look at it that way also, you are able to negate your experiences in this way. So to look at it as a vichitram is even more a easier way.
Basically, it's appealing to the bhakti side of the
Bhakti side also. But if you look at it from intellectual angle also, you just cannot understand it. You just cannot understand it. It is beyond our intellect. So therefore, it gets into that feeling of ecstasy. That is why that Ashcharya is a feeling which is beyond the mind and intellect as it is. Yeah.
The Ishavasya mantra 1, understand that all this is pervaded by me. And this mantra 19 of Kaivalya, that for me everything is a reason and in me everything comes back. Both are in the same context and same meaning or different context?
It is. In the mantra he says, Mayi sarvam pratishtitam. So in me everything exists also. So Ishavasya says, Ishavasya mitagam sarvam means the Lord pervades everything. Therefore, what for us now, from Ajnani's point of view, the Lord is covered by the our perception, whatever you see. Like the snake is covering the rope as it were. But he says, you have to cover the snake with the rope. Because that which is rope which is only pervading. So your perception is that only. That is Ishavasya. Yeah.
So the word ancient has been used, and you said the ancient here means which has no beginning. This is what is implied here.
Right.
So why has not the word no end been used? Is it implied that which something which has no beginning will have no end?
See, the word used here is Puratana. Puratana, usually the word without beginning, we have the term Anadi. Usual term is Anadi. Adi means beginning and Anadi is beginningless. And the end is Anta and endless is Ananta. So that which is beginningless is endless. Anadi and Ananta is also the term sometimes used. What we chanted in 11th chapter, that form he says is without beginning, without middle, without end and all he says. Puratana is to be taken as the ancient, oldest. So in that context, again I am saying, he is using the time as a factor of the world as a pointer. But then you cannot confine it to time. So you go backwards and backwards, that which is like beyond time. That which is oldest, mean even before time what was there. That is the oldest of all, in that sense. So the term Puratana is to be taken as the oldest or the ancient, like that it is. We'll chant mantra 21 twice.
अपाणिपादोऽहमचिन्त्य शक्तिः पश्याम्य चक्षुः सशृणोम्य कर्णः अहं विजानामि विविक्तरूपो न चास्ति वेत्ता मम चित् सदाहम् अपाणिपादोऽहमचिन्त्य शक्तिः पश्याम्य चक्षुः सशृणोम्य कर्णः अहं विजानामि विविक्तरूपो न चास्ति वेत्ता मम चित् सदाहम्
I am with no hand and foot of inconceivable power. I see with no eye. I hear with no ear. I know well. I am of pure form and I am ever consciousness. None knows me. Now Kaivalya is coming to the real form of the Upanishad. What we have seen in Kena Upanishad is sort of that type of a statement is given here. Kaivalya Upanishad is considered a jewel in the Hindu literature, in the Upanishadic literatures. though we said in the beginning it is may not be part of the Dashopanishad which the Acharyas have commented, but it has a special place in the study of Vedanta. Great masters have commented upon it, and we have Swami Chinmayananda's great lecture also and commentary also on it. And we see, when we go to probably Brihadaranyaka, Chandogya Upanishad and all, which are voluminous Upanishads, and most of the places how the language is used to convey the subtle points, because they also contain upasana and various other portions, but when it comes to dealing with absolute reality, they talk about in circles and circles and circles without a very great trained Upanishadic master under whose feet we have to go and surrender and learn. Probably we will not be able to even grasp any of the meaning. Sometimes per se, if you see the meaning, it will be absurd, totally absurd. It will be like that. That is why Swamiji said for the 3-year course, and from the level at which the students have selected and taken there, he said these 4 Upanishads is more than enough. We will see some of these things slightly, a little bit there in Mundaka, which is a little bigger Upanishad, but Kena Upanishad, Ishavasya Upanishad, these are all more direct and smaller Upanishad if you take in terms of size. Kaivalya Upanishad is also like that. It is very sort of straightforward, giving concepts directly, and it is sort of covering everything. So that is why we saw that all aspects of sadhana, shraddha, bhakti, dhyana, then meditation, then maya, everything is sort of covered here. And as I said, in the last few mantras, he is giving us the pointers for contemplation and meditation, by which we can think about the self more easily and more often. So the revelation of these gurus is not merely just declaration of truth, but also for us to think about and move further towards the truth. So this type of statements are given deliberately to make us think, also poetic expressions, but by resolving these statements we will be getting much clarity. So, and as I said, any amount of explanation or other thing can only take up to some point. It is more to do with our own contemplation, reflection and feeling these things. So in that Kaivalya Upanishad, which is considered a very beautiful piece of literature, if you take it as a sort of a ornament, a necklace, the pendant of that is this mantra. Mantra 21 is given that much of a weightage. I went through the notes Swamiji was reveling in this mantra when he was taking it. He says here, I am with no hand or foot, of inconceivable power. I see with no eye, I hear with no ear. I know well, aham vijanami. Mark this word, you can do this homework. I mean, it is just a matter of intellectual study. Mantra 3 of Kena Upanishad says, Na vidmo, na vijanimo. The Guru says, no, we do not know it well. We cannot impart it. He says, Na vidmo, na vijanimo etaita dhanushishyat, he says. Here he says, aham vijanami. I know well. I know very well. Aham vijanami. Vivikta rupaha. Na chasti veta mamachit sadaham. Na asti veta means knower. There is no knower of me. There is nobody knows me. None knows me. Mamachit sadaham. I am ever sada chit. I am ever that consciousness, pure consciousness. Certain pairs of contradictory terms are given here. Usually the expression of power is through our arms and feet. Power can be in speech also, basically organs of action. Expression is always through organs of action, and usually in the Upanishads they may take 1 or 2 to cover everything also. And literally also, when you take a person shows his power by external power, I am saying physical power by the hands, by the feet. So he says, I am with no hand and foot. I have no hand, no feet, yet I am of inconceivable power. Inconceivable power is very important. And again, we'll just go through the contradictions. He says, with no eyes, I see. I see without eyes. I hear without ear. So, organs of perception also. I am able to perceive without any organs of perception. Vivikta Rupaha means of pure form. Pure form means that there is no form at all. That is, pure means there is nothing as it is. Nothing means I am there. In form as such of me is not there. Absolute purity is there. So, Rupa is a term that is used. Vivikta Rupaha means there is nothing else is there. That pure form which is nothing else is there, but he says Aham Vijanami. I know everything, but none knows me. I am that pure consciousness. A very beautiful mantra for contemplation. The main point here is of inconceivable power. This is directly connected with what we studied in the previous mantra as Vishwamaham Vichitram. What is this inconceivable power? It's really, really inconceivable power. Vedanta treatise, you go through the last chapter where he talks about finite is infinite in that portion. In that portion, he talks about a small passage he quotes from the Science 85 magazine. He is talking about how a perception is registered. As you just casually walk along, you see some person across the street and you say, oh, there's Sally. Your friend Sally is going there and you recognize and you say, there's Sally. This happens in a microsecond or half a second, it happens. But he says, science, when it was in 1985, it has found out that and it is saying what it is. Now we can even have visual replication and greater understanding of what exactly is happening, and we see in documentaries also. For the object to be registered into your sight, how many millions calculations are happening within you in that microsecond is phenomenal. It is how much of your cortex is used, how much your ophthalmic nerve or whatever is used, and how much of that is taking the image to the brain, and what happens in brain where the image is processed. It is the central processing unit we have where it is processed, and then the image is projected where you can see, and all this happens within a half a second of our time. Half a second, maybe also more. But he says millions of calculations are happening within you. It is your eye, it is your nerves, it is your brain. So who is doing all these things? Actually, you are doing all these things. And remember, this is a experience that he is saying while you are walking on the road. That means you are also balancing, walking, you are doing various other things. Are you not breathing at that point of time? The heart is pumping blood, your food is digested, kidney, liver, pancreas, everything is functioning, each and every nerve is functioning, blood vessels, everything is functioning. And he is only taking one minor aspect of it, which is registering the sight. That involves, he says, millions and millions of calculation within 1 second. So that means, imagine what is the power that is getting operated within us. So if you believe yourself to be finite now, it is a false notion. If you are finite, you will not be able to do these infinite things that you are actually doing, which you are constantly doing. So therefore, the infinite has not to be understood only with reference to the future. Future in the sense, you take a smallest of seeds, small seed of a banyan tree or a poppy seed or anything, which is sort of an invisible seed. But that invisible seed has the potential to grow into a massive tree. Where is that power hidden? It is latent within it. So we see that that seed has an external form. That seed in that external form is dead as we bury it in the ground. But in that place something else comes. So therefore there is something which is not dying in that seed, which is manifesting itself. That expression of that power, it is Achintya Shakti, it is infinite power. Now why he is saying that is that power different from the power that is making your eyes function? Can that power be different from the power which is making your brain function? It is not a different power. That which makes the flowers blossom, that which makes the leaves grow, that which makes the cat or owl or any other animal or bird or insect or a fish do whatever it is doing, it is the same power which is making you doing, but you are able to identify with your own nose, your own eyes, your own ears, and you know it is mine. So if you say that nose is mine, then the sight registered is also my sight. All that is happening within is also yours only. So therefore, who are you? You are not this finite entity that you believe yourself to be. So coming back to that, he says that seed which grows into the big tree produces how many seeds? We don't know. That tree can produce hundreds, thousands of seeds. Each seed has the same potential to grow into another tree, and that tree can produce thousands of. So what is the power of that original seed then? It is infinite. Achintya Shakti. This is Achintya Shakti. Inconceivable power. So a egg is hatching and a chicken comes out. The chicken produces an egg and then further chicken comes out. Like that chicken may lay many eggs. From that many chicken come out. So from that initial egg or the initial chicken, how many it has produced? Millions. It can grow. The family can grow into trillions also. Any creature like that, bacteria or this amoeba, it divides itself. When it is dividing, it is not killing itself. 2 are produced. Then those 2 divide, 4 are produced. Within a matter of hours, it can be multiplying like that. Virus, bacteria, amoeba, all these things like this. So, is the power of the original amoeba anyway less than the amoeba that is produced in the 16th division or something like that? It is not. It is retaining that same power. The potency to divide and produce million is retained there also. So it is inconceivable power. Animals, men, human beings also. You have a son, daughter, they have a son, daughter. They have that same potential. They can produce. So therefore all that comes from your essence which is inside there within you now. So the infinite potential is not to be measured with reference to your future like this. But at this moment, at this very point of time, what are you doing? You can say you are sitting here, you are listening, but each and every cell of you is active in some way or the other. There is a particular power which is making this function like this. That power, absolutely it is inconceivable. So that is called as Achintya Shakti. And the expression of the Shakti is usually through the limbs. But he says, I have no legs, I have no arms, I have nothing, but my Shakti is inconceivable. Fabulous mantra for contemplation. No permission. No. We'll conclude with the bhajans here.
Ananda Govinda Radhe Gopala Jayananda Mukunda Ananda Govinda Radhe Gopala Govinda Madhava Gopala Keshava Govinda Madhava Gopala Keshava Giridhari Giridhari Jaya Radhe Gopala Govinda Madhava Gopala Keshava Gopala Keshava Gopala Keshava.
Poornam Adah Poornamidam Poornat Poornamudachyate Poornasya Poornamadaya Poornamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.